speak now to Willem Els, an Institute for Security Studies researcher on terrorism. Mr. Els, I'm just not sure what we are to make of this, because on the one end, the US Embassy has issued a very specific terror alert, not just a generalized be careful in this country. It's Saturday in Sandton, Greater Sandton area. Staff should avoid the area. And then our president saying they're monitoring the situation. We'll let you know if there's a problem. What are we as citizens to make of this?
Yes, thank you for that. The president is really trying to calm down the public because the outcome of this warning and the alert from the Americans obviously caused a lot of panic, and that is unnecessary. That is just what should not happen. The public should not panic, and we cautioned several times on that over the past few days that now is not the time to panic. But we must also understand what happened and put it into perspective. The American Embassy, as a representative of American citizens within South Africa, as the South African Embassy in America or in London or with any other country, is responsible for the safety of their citizens in that country. So when the Americans then picked up this terror alert, they issued a warning for their citizens on their website, warning them not to venture to the specific areas for these specific days because of a fairly credible threat that they picked up. Now we must understand that for the embassy to do that, they must have gone through several measures in order not to verify, etc., also engaging with the various counterparts in order to prevent the outcome that we see now, and that is of panic of the public, because that's the last thing that you want to do. On the other hand, the president actually said that they should have warned. I believe that there have been some interaction. There is always interaction, maybe on a lower level, not at this level, and maybe the information didn't filter through as it was supposed to be. We don't know. We also see that some other embassies also verified this information, like the Canadian Embassy, the British Embassy, and the French Embassy. So that is an indication that this is something serious that we have to look at. We don't have to panic. We just have to take the necessary precautions.
I suppose what I don't understand is if there's enough concern to issue an alert to Americans in Sandton, that concern applies to South Africans in Sandton, because terror attacks often target crowds. So either the Americans have got it wrong, and it's a very specific alert. I know the alerts are not always that specific. Or South Africa was caught on the hop somehow. Which is it?
We don't know. But what we can say is, if you look back in the recent months, we had the conviction of the Tulsi twins. The information or the intelligence on the Tulsi twins was not picked up by the South African services. It was picked up by the American services, and they transferred this information to our services. So that's just an indication that these people have got their ears on the ground, and as our people have their ears on the ground in other countries as well. That's just a mandate, one of the mandates of your foreign missions. So the key in that is that there should be interaction and sharing of information. And it seems in this case, maybe that was not really the case on all levels.
So how is this sort of information usually sourced, especially when it gets this specific? Any clues?
Yeah, you've got various ways of gathering intelligence. The short answer is that you can have some agents that are snooping and that are bringing in information. The other is your on the internet, where they pick up some traffic, etc., and then they analyze that and get to the source of it. So there are various ways of gathering intelligence. That intelligence is normally information that is gathered, and it goes through a process before it is regarded as intelligence, and that intelligence is then also rated as to be credible or fairly credible, etc. But as you mentioned, that for the Americans to go to these measures it must have been fairly credible in their eyes.
So I'm wondering why South Africa might be a target for any possible terror attack. You know, one theory I've heard is it could be revenge, because we know that as part of SADC, South African troops helped Mozambique deal with insurgents in the northern Cabo Delgado province. Could that make us vulnerable potentially to a threat?
That is one possibility. We know that we are part of the SAMIM contingent in northern Mozambique, where it is not welcomed from all areas because the SAMIM has made some impact and made a difference and change in the fight against the insurgency there. We also got some troops that are being deployed in the DRC, so it could have been that as well. So, but all of that is speculation. You know, we will have to have a closer look at the information and wait for further sort of information that they can give us on that. What we also picked up in some of the reports earlier today, that our intelligence service and investigation services actually identified 7 suspects that are persons of interest at the moment.
In connection with what?
In connection with a possible terror attack. That provides further credibility to the alert from the Americans. Whether the timing was welcomed by the South African services, that we don't know. But you know, we don't have a lot of time until Saturday to actually work on that. But what we know that the South African, typically in a situation like this, your police service and your security services will have contingency plans. They will put it in place. They will have proactive and reactive measures that will be put in place in order to prevent or to mitigate a situation like this.
So having said all that, I am sure, Willem, that a lot of friends and family are calling you saying, should I go to Sandton on Saturday? What is your advice?
We can look at this situation it is very similar to in my view, to a bomb threat. If you receive a bomb threat, you don't know whether there's a bomb. So what do we do? What is our reaction? We regard it as to be a bomb. We put all contingency in place. If the bomb then explodes, then nobody is killed, then we mitigate the situation. If nothing happens, we just continue with our life. The same in this case. I would advise that if you don't really need to go to that areas, the affected areas, over this period, don't go there. If you need to go there, be diligent, be on the lookout, be alert. If you find or see anything out of place, inform the local authorities, and then should you then be exposed to some kind of incident, explosion or whatever, take cover, and then very important, listen to the instructions of the first responders and the security personnel that arrive on the scene.
All right, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you chatting to us. Willem Els, he is a senior researcher on terrorism and crime from the Institute for Security Studies. Now,